Today on the Morning Edition, in the wake of tragedy, a call for change as Alaska mourns the lives lost on Bering Air Flight 445. The state's congressional delegation wants action. Plus,
when you keep in mind that decision point to fire a round from your weapon as an officer, it takes place in a quarter of a second.
Anchorage's police chief reveals the suspect killed in this month's officer-involved shooting never fired first. So what led officers to pull the trigger? And later,
I, started a design and I went from there.
plowing through winter with a remote. What if you could clear your driveway without ever leaving your warm car? One man's DIY winter game changer as the Morning Edition starts now. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. A DIY snowblower?
where was this last year? We don't need it that much this year, but last year we could have used something
I was going to say, the snowblowers this year are collecting dust.
They are, yeah.
Probably just stored away in the garage. And
very odd.
There is a chance we could see some snow here over the next couple of days. Nothing significant, but we will finally see that ridge break down across the state. Giving you a live look outside, we do have those clear skies. Continuing to hold on to this stretch of sunny weather across South Central. And once again, we are going to see those temperatures inland warming into the teens and 20s, while coastal regions break into the 30s. We're waking up this morning, those temperatures sitting in the single digits and the teens. 12 degrees currently in Anchorage with winds out of the southeast at 3 miles per hour. And then across the rest of South Central, you can see those clear skies remaining with us. And that has allowed temperatures through the night to bottom out in some locations below zero. We've got 4 below in Talkeetna, 15 below in Golcana. We do have a warm air inversion in place. So as you head out towards the hillside, as you head out towards higher elevations of Alyeska, we're talking about those temperatures already sitting in the lower 20s. Not expecting to see any significant fog formation this morning. If we do, it will just be very patchy in nature. Now, we are seeing some freezing fog out towards Fairbanks. You can see temperatures through the interior this morning sitting below zero for everyone. The cold spot, Tok, at 25 below. And there is a potential parts of the southeastern parts of the interior late tonight into tomorrow could see some of that light snowfall potential. And of course, we'll be watching for that chance for some snow here across South Central over the next couple of days. As far as that fog, as you head out into the interior, very localized. You can see as you head out towards, this is University Avenue, nothing significant. Just take it easy on those roads as we will see the potential for some of those slick conditions. Meanwhile, what we're going to be watching here over the next couple of days is that chance for some snow to build into parts of South Central and parts of the interior as well. For Fairbanks, you can see those temperatures slowly warm throughout the day. We'll see our warmest stretch right before sunset. I'll have more on that as well as that 7-day forecast coming up.
Our hearts go out to the communities, the families, the victims who were lost. We're a small state in terms of population and lives. Loss in Alaska touched so many people.
A heartbreaking loss in the skies. 10 lives taken aboard Bering Flight 445. Now Alaskans remember their stories, their legacies, and the void left behind. And in the face of tragedy, a powerful response. Communities across the state uniting to support those that are left grieving.
One such gesture of generosity, Alaska's news source discovered one business donating every dollar of its earnings to support an Eagle River family devastated by the crash.
And then all of our sales today are also going to them.
Okay, perfect.
J.D. Monker's neighbors filled soda and s'more where every dollar made Tuesday went to his family. His loved ones shared his photo for the first time. Those waiting in long lines remembered Monker for his generous heart and the impact he left on his community.
Warms my heart. I took a picture earlier and I see the lines, and I have already actually driven past once today, and it helps knowing that the community is there for them when they need to be.
Well, the Flight 445 tragedy not only evokes charity, it also sparks calls for action. Alaska's congressional delegation is pushing for critical safety upgrades, saying the state lacks the resources pilots need to fly safely. At a D.C. News conference, the Transportation Secretary and NTSB Chair joined the delegation, stressing the urgent need for improved weather technology. Right now, many pilots here in Alaska rely on ground reports because crucial systems are failing. And with the shortage of air traffic controllers, the risks keep growing.
I checked on the way over here to find out how many of our AWOS systems, our aviation weather observing systems, are actually functioning today. Of 150 of them, Mr. Secretary, 51 of them are down. So what that means is our pilots are going the old-fashioned way, which, quite honestly, is checking with the people on the ground to say, how's the weather down there?
When it comes to aviation safety, whether in America or in Alaska, the Congress, in a very bipartisan way, has spoken forcefully. So I don't anticipate any funding cuts there. We will fight them, certainly as it relates to Alaska, but we are off to a good start on this initiative.
Senator Sullivan expects new legislation to fund critical aviation upgrades, just as past bills have done. Meanwhile, the crash investigation continues. NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy confirms Flight 445's engine monitoring system will be analyzed in D.C. while investigators comb through the wreckage in Nome. Now, some pilots are already questioning whether Alaska's safety technology is keeping up with its challenging conditions. Bush planes like these, well, they operate under visual flight rules, relying on sight rather than instruments. But even in clear skies, weather can shift in an instant, turning routine flights into life-threatening situations.
The weather systems just move rapidly, and so you can take off when the weather's really nice and then get caught in terrible weather within half hour.
The NTSB talked about these concerns, saying they plan to work with state agencies to reevaluate VFR regulations and bolster Alaska's aviation safety. Our complete coverage of the Bering Air Flight 445 crash, it is live right now on our webpage and mobile app, where you can watch that full NTSB news conference and also learn more about the victims of this tragic crash.
Anchorage Police Chief Sean Case telling Alaska's news source the man who was shot and killed by police earlier this month never shot at the officer first. Case says new video evidence, still unreleased, will show that 33-year-old Francis Rochon ignored officer commands and drew a gun at close range before police opened fire. Rochon had retrieved that same gun from the police station just hours earlier, a weapon previously confiscated after he was charged with a DUI. His sister says he seemed fine before the incident. Now the Office of Special Prosecutions is reviewing the shooting, and police say understanding the family's perspective remains a priority as the investigation continues.
I really want to know kind of where the family's at with some of this sort of stuff, so that our detectives stay focused on providing as much information as they possibly can and keeping in contact with these families.
When asked if the department should change its approach, Chief Case said the issue goes beyond law enforcement. He emphasized the need for more community resources to address mental health and substance abuse, key factors, he says, in preventing crime before it happens. An Alaska Superior Court ruling affirms that Anchorage can remove homeless encampments on city property if they pose a public health or safety risk. This follows an ACLU lawsuit filed on behalf of campers near Arctic and Fireweed, a site recently cleared. Since July, the city has abated 17 camps and will continue using abatement while working to connect people to housing and shelters. The Anchorage Assembly tackled some big topics, including housing, voting, and Black History Month.
Much of the meeting was business as usual, but it did kick off in an unusual way. The meeting began by registering 2 youth members to vote and passing a student-led resolution calling for annual voter registration drives in Anchorage schools. They officially recognized February as Black History Month, followed by a performance from Sankofa Dance Theater.
Later, debate centered on a proposed ordinance to suspend design restrictions for new housing developments from 2025 to 2027, a move aimed at boosting construction, but it was met with mixed reactions from the public.
It sounds like the things that are in this ordinance have been very carefully chosen based on evidence from developers who say these are major hurdles and they're getting in the way of building more housing, which is what we desperately need.
For me, as a previous engineer, I'd go, what? So that's just my comment, that this is kind of a general statement there. And
Well, that ordinance ultimately passed in a vote of 9-2, Assembly members Zach Johnson and Daniel Volin being the 2 votes against it.
Moving to the interior, as Fairbanks moves to close a school to cut costs, it turns out money was already set aside to improve access to that same campus. Alex Bengal looked into where that funding was headed and what happens now.
Behind me, the borough's public transportation system may receive funding for new buses powered by compressed natural gas. the money would be going here instead of to improvements at Pearl Creek Elementary, which is set to be closed at the end of this academic year. The $4.5 million project planned to add new car plug-ins, repave the parking lot, and improve the driveway. Now, Fast Planning is looking at a number of options, including a filling station for compressed natural gas at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. The organization has a couple of years to spend the money, but in the meanwhile, they're waiting to see what happens to Pearl Creek Elementary.
This project could be put on the shelf in the event that Pearl Creek Elementary, the school reopens or perhaps gets repurposed. We can revisit that decision. So we're not shutting the project down entirely at this time.
The money hasn't been specifically put toward any projects yet, but Fox says a decision could be reached as early as this summer. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
Next, building healthy smiles from the start. February is National Children's Dental Month, and experts say good oral hygiene that starts earlier than you might think.
Plus, the U.S. is facing its worst flu season in 15 years. Millions infected, thousands hospitalized. Why experts say it's still not too late to protect yourself.
More sunshine stays with us, although we are watching a chance for some snow as we close out this week. I'll have more on that as well as that 7-day forecast. But first, you can see that sunrise 8:48 in Anchorage, 7:35 in Juneau. The full forecast is next.
And welcome back, everyone, on your Wednesday. Now, there is a call for caution in the Juneau area near Mendenhall Glacier. The Forest Service is asking people to stay away from the face of the glacier due to a large calving event.
They're expecting a substantial portion of the glacier to collapse at any time after a large crack in the ice was spotted. They say calving activity and large ice falling could create a significant disturbance across the lake. And yeah, you can see that big old crack right there in that picture.
Yeah, got to be careful, Aaron.
Yeah, it certainly has been a fairly warm January and start to February for a large portion of the state. We've kind of calmed down since then with some seasonal conditions across South Central with a return to some colder conditions through the interior. Out towards southeast, we've got a temperature of 10 degrees in Juneau, 18 degrees as you head out towards Ketchikan. You can see our areas out west and through the Aleutians. That's where we continue to hold on to those warmer conditions with temperatures this morning already sitting near or above freezing as we start off your Wednesday. Still fairly quiet for the most part. We are seeing an area of low pressure in the North Pacific. That's going to eventually build into the Gulf of Alaska, and that's going to be the next focus for our slight chance of seeing some snow as we welcome in Thursday and our Friday. Out towards Bristol Bay this morning, we are seeing some light snow showers and a mixed bag of precip that's occurring as you head southeast of Bethel. That's going to continue to fizzle out this morning, but overall, a large portion of the state still sitting on the fairly quiet side. With that being said, we've got several areas along the slope and down through parts of the interior where we've got winter weather advisories and some blizzard warnings. This comes as winds are expected to increase here into our Thursday and Friday. Limited snowfall to be expected with this. Primary concern will be some blowing snow, and gusts could be anywhere from about 30 to 50 miles per hour, with some of the strongest gusts occurring along the slope from areas out towards the western Arctic slope all the way out towards the eastern Beaufort seacoast. This comes as we do have an area of low pressure well to our north in the Arctic. That's driving in that easterly flow, and that's where we're going to see those windy conditions. So those blizzard warnings, those winter weather advisories that you do see, those go into effect overnight into Thursday. So be prepared to see increasing winds here over the next couple of days. Looking at the state, you can see fairly quiet conditions. Stay with us. What we will be watching is that low building out of the North Pacific into the Gulf of Alaska, and that's going to lead to the potential for increasing snowfall chances for inland areas of South Central as we welcome in our Thursday evening on into Friday. Of course, the better chance for any of this snow will be out towards Prince William Sound and through the Copper River Basin, but we will see our decent shot of some snow showers into Thursday and Friday. Light accumulation does look possible, but we'll finally see a chance for some snow in the forecast. Largely staying dry for Fairbanks. Now, southeastern parts of the interior could tap into some of that snowfall potential. You can see those temperatures steadily warming back into the teens and 20s as we welcome in next week. Clear and cool across South Central. Kodiak will see some increasing chance for some scattered wintry mix into the evening hours as that area of low pressure moves into the Gulf of Alaska. But we've got 20s and 30s for coastal regions, 4 degrees in Golcana. Those overnight lows still fairly chilly for a good portion of South Central, particularly through the valley and the Copper River Basin. But you can see those temperatures steadily warming Teens and 20s to be expected today. Slow warming carries us through the rest of the week. You can see 21 degrees Thursday, 23 Friday, chance for some light snow, and then those temperatures continue to steadily warm near 30 degrees as we welcome in President's Day. Coming up in my next full forecast, we'll break down just how much snowfall we could see across South Central.
All right. Thanks, Aaron, for the update.
The U.S. is facing its most intense flu season in 15 years with 24 million cases, 310,000 hospitalizations, and 13,000 deaths so far. More than 30% of flu tests are coming back positive, and at-home testing is now available. Health officials urge everyone 6 months and older to get a flu shot and say it's not too late to vaccinate. February is National Children's Dental Health Month.
Dentists say it's vital for parents to be involved to ensure that their children avoid infections and develop proper hygiene skills. Adrian Peterson has more in this morning's health report.
From birth to adulthood, ensuring good oral hygiene is a skill all children need help developing.
We like to start seeing kids around the age of a year old or when they have their first tooth, whichever's soonest. That's our official ADA recommendation. And it seems to work pretty well in our practice.
Once those teeth come in, parents will need to help kids develop the skills needed to prevent cavities. Untreated cavities can become serious infections.
Any kind of infection might damage the permanent teeth, but also could affect the child systemically, like even their heart could be affected.
Sommerfeld says those permanent teeth can also start to come in around 6 years of age, which means it's important to develop dental care skills early on.
Yeah. We have parents who say, my child won't let me brush their teeth. And so we tell the parents sometimes play dentist. Like you can put the child right on the bed and you stand on the edge and look over and brush, and most children have fun with that.
The CDC also recommends using a soft, clean cloth to clean a baby's gums before they develop teeth. Adrian Peterson, Alaska's News Source.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.